3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Everybody, CBS Sports Radio. I am not Zach Gelb, as much as I wish to be each and every day, as much as I have spent on the transformative surgery to look more like him. You've seen those people spend $100,000 to look like Kim Kardashian or something, and they always look, it fails miserably. I'm trying to do that with Gelb. I also need to grow like a foot for that to be the case. I'm Bart Winkler again. Tonight, I have a show, but I won't be there. You can catch me normally from 10 Eastern to 2 in the morning Eastern, or 7 to 11 Pacific. David Shepard will be in my steed tonight. Good to be with the boys, Samter and Kovacs. This is probably off-air stuff, but did my video go down? Is that
yeah, it did. Literally like 5 seconds before you started talking, it went down.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to reconnect because the people have to see my face.
They must.
They must. You have that option on the CBS YouTube channel, which I think I'm back. Is that me? That looks like me. Yes.
That's
you.
Me.
That's me. Oh, we got choppy internet. Fantastic. Yeah, well, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get the Bart Winkler choppy internet dance. I am frozen.
You know what they said? They called a face for radio. You've got the voice for radio and then the kind of choppy face for it. It worked out perfectly.
Yeah, you go into radio because you don't look good enough to be on TV. And then they won't even let me on TV. They won't even let me on YouTube. I can't even get my face on YouTube. Wow. Well, good luck, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is, but I look pretty, at least. I look pretty. I'm wearing my DC Defenders shirt. That is a UFL football team, formerly XFL, and then they merged. I'm excited for that. That's coming up at the end of March. I am not kidding. I am excited for it because it's football, and I love football. And we've already been now, almost 2 weeks without football since the Super Bowl ended, and hasn't it been pretty terrible? Hasn't the last 2 weeks been pretty terrible? There's, some hockey games here and some college games there and, an NBA game there. But then there were 4 days without NBA, and that was really bad, especially if you're like me. I live in Milwaukee, as I mentioned, probably too much, but I'm a big Bucks fan, and we had the week from hell. Everybody's going on a podcast. Everybody's doing an interview talking about things that need to be fixed with the team, especially the head coach, Doc Rivers, volunteering at every possible time how much he didn't understand why he was getting the job and doesn't think he should have the job. And, well, if you're going to give me the job, give it to me after the All-Star break. So very interesting, quite a disaster of a week. But they're back at it tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we'll talk some NBA here. Joe Varden's going to join us next hour from the Athletic, because you've got a lot of teams that are, I think, in contention in the NBA. You've got a lot of teams that could really make an impact, that really could have a say in the race when all things are considered. So it should be interesting, again, to see how that shakes out here in the coming month and a half. The NBA All-Star break was not the halfway point. We think that. We're used to that. The NBA All-Star break was the 2/3 point, like right at the exact measurement. We have 1/3 of the season left. It started last night. Some interesting games, some good games. Great performance from Luka last night. You saw the Warriors beat a LeBron-less Lakers team late. But if you ask the Lakers, the reason they lost wasn't no LeBron. It was because Anthony Davis lost his voice and he couldn't communicate defensively. So just another fun Lakers storyline as well. Man, you either get no coverage in the NBA or bad coverage. Do we ever in the NBA say, hey, this team's playing really well, let's highlight some of their guys? Let's have a conversation about how good the Thunder are playing. No, if you're playing well, you get ignored. If you're playing bad, then you get talked about. And if there's any bit of drama, that's when you get discussed. So great media. Great media landscape you've got there, NBA. And they also go out of their way to attack small markets for merely existing. That's always fun. That's a real good formula. I like it very, very much. Not like the NFL, where small markets are actually celebrated. A city like Green Bay is celebrated. A city like Cleveland, Detroit, and these aren't even small cities. But if you look at other leagues, if an ALCS championship series was Detroit versus Cleveland, we'd all be like, ew. The World Series was Arizona versus Texas. And everyone's like, ugh, small markets. Phoenix is like 10, and Dallas is like 4. But in the NFL, we always look at the team names. Oh, it's the Browns, the Lions, the Packers, the Jaguars, the Saints. It doesn't matter. The NFL does a much better job at that. They also maybe have the best system when it comes to keeping everybody on an equal playing field, at least to start. It's up to your salary cap gurus and your GMs and your coaches to then manipulate things and figure things out. But they've got a salary cap that is an envy of the other leagues. The NBA's got one, but then there's luxury and tax aprons, and you can't. It's so hard to figure out. MLB certainly has nothing, which leads to a lot of strife, especially if your team decides not to spend, or if you're a team that's in a big market and for some reason you do spend and you spend poorly, Mets, or you're in a big market and you don't spend, Red Sox for a while, Cubs are doing that now. So it's just a better format in the NFL. And that format kind of felt the shockwave about 2 hours ago. Within the last 2 hours, it was announced that the NFL salary cap is going to increase. And that's nothing new. The salary cap typically does increase year over year. Just looking back at a few years ago, like 2014, it was $133 million. And then the next year, it was 143, and then 155. And it's gone up and up and up and up. It goes up a little bit each year, just like your cable bill. This year, it was 224 last year, 224. So already in the last 10 years, it's jumped 100 million. And then they were expecting it to go up to about 240, maybe 245. $255 million each team has to give out contracts and to sign free agents, an increase of 13%. It's even funnier to look back, way back in 1994 when free agency started and the salary cap came into play. $34 million. $34 million. That can't even get you, that gets you 3/4 of a Daniel Jones in today's economy. But $255 million is the salary cap now, and it is higher than what teams were expecting. So you might see some contracts, you might see some free agents sign, you might see some numbers that come out that are a little jarring and a little shocking because they're going to be higher than what we're used to. I know Zach had a conversation earlier in the week about Dak Prescott possibly making $60 million. Well, $60 million today is not what $60 million was when Zach was talking about that earlier in the week. It's just different. $52, $53 million is about the same percentage-wise now as $60, $61 million. And guys will start making this money. If you're a free agent, suddenly the doors opened up for you a little bit. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to figure out how can we keep Mike Evans. Both sides want to stay together, maybe give him about $20 million. Well, now the free agent market is going to beef up, and the salary cap has exploded. And so Mike Evans, who may have had every intention of signing, and Tampa, who may have had every intention of signing, I'm just using him as an example, well, suddenly another team can be like, whoa, we didn't think we had a lot of cap here. All of a sudden we do. Could this be a move that we explore? There's a lot of teams that were expecting to have the cap go up maybe $10, $11 million, but it's gone up $30 million, which is a game changer for a lot of teams. $30 million is going to add about 10 more teams into the category of under the cap instead of over. Suddenly, the Kansas City Chiefs, who ended the season looking ahead without any increase, they would have been under the cap. Well, now they're 27 million, or they would have been over the cap. Now they're 27 million under. A team like the Jets was looking like they were going to be right kind of even. They're $15 million under. The Seahawks suddenly 13 under. The Packers 8 under. The Steelers 7 under. The 49ers $834,000 under. Hey, you can double up Brock Purdy's contract. So a lot of these teams that even were expecting it to go up but still thought they would be over the cap, well, suddenly they are under the cap, and they've got a little more room and a little more leeway to potentially negotiate with their own guys, maybe look at some longer-term deals, because once it's at 255, it's not going to go under. The cap has never gone down. It's gone up a very, very little bit. Back in 2009 to 2012, it only went up. Oh, it did go down. It did go down. In 2009, it was 123, and then there was some restructuring. It went down to 120. But that did not happen any other time, and I can't imagine, at least when the NFL continues to boom like this, that teams have to think about that anytime soon. There could be a day when the media rights aren't as big, when the attention on the league isn't as big, and then the cap will have to go down. But that is not, you might as well be worried about the sun engulfing the earth. Like, this is so far away. This is not on anybody's radar. So why the cap goes up as much as it does is for a couple of reasons. This year, part of the massive jump is that there were a bunch of player benefits that were deferred back in 2020 during the COVID. Well, I mean, it still exists, but we just kind of say now during the pandemic, and it's a way to say 2020. So during that year, they deferred some payments. The league's revenue growth has also increased. There's been TV contracts that were maybe more than they expected. So if your team has a little more cap, if you're able to sign a guy that you weren't able to sign, and they say, well, it's because the cap went up, you know who you can thank? Not Taylor Swift. You can thank Peacock. You can thank Amazon Prime. You can thank these networks and these streaming services that are paying $100 million for a game in the middle of a Black Friday afternoon or a playoff game. You didn't pay the $6 to watch Peacock. That's fine. Your team's getting another $30 million in part to that being on a streaming service. That game, by the way, the Peacock game, it's not coming back next year. You guys did it. You guys did it. There will not be a playoff game on Peacock. All of your griping and complaining and your stand against Peacock, good job. You did it. It will instead be on Amazon Prime. There will still be a playoff game streaming next year. But for some reason, nobody cares. Amazon Prime is accepted in most households. You guys worship at the church of Bezos, but you won't worship at the church of GE Comcast or whoever is running NBC these days. So the cap has gone up. It's going to mean a lot of things to a lot of teams. For some teams, it saves them. For some teams, it allows them more opportunity. There are still some teams that are under. The Browns, the Cowboys, Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins. Saints are $40 million under, and the Bills are $41 million under. But also, with all this celebration and with all these fans thinking, oh, we might be able to afford this guy, or maybe we can go out and get this free agent. The salary cap still is essentially, fake. Like, it still makes very little sense. Just look at the case of the New Orleans Saints. They were owed Derek Carr $30 million in base salary next season, and instead they just converted it to a signing bonus, and it freed up $23 million in cap relief. They just said, okay, instead of it being against the cap, it's a signing bonus. I don't really get it. You can just, then what's the point? There's void years in these contracts now. So, yay, the salary cap's up. That's the headline. Subtext, it's also still as fake as it's ever been. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4CBS. Greg is in Michigan. Greg, do you not call the afternoons as much? Are you more of a nighttime guy, or you're usually calling your friends in Detroit, aren't you? What's up, buddy?
El Bardo, the Warrior, Mr. Positive. I'm mostly a nighttime guy because, JR, you, El Bardo, Winkler, and, yes, I call, but this is a good subject. And real quick, you have a face for radio and TV. You're good looking, just like my buddy Chris Cuomo. Trust me, You can do it, buddy. You can do it.
Yep.
I got to tell you, are you implying that we can buy championships going forward in most sports? No longer is it ability and talent. We can make a super team with LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Giannis and Jokic
it's
and
pronounced Giannis,
everybody.
Go ahead.
What do you think?
No, I'm not implying that. I'm just saying NFL teams have more to spend.
Wow. Hey, real quick.
But every NFL team got 30. It's not just like 3 teams got gifted. They all got it.
Okay. Well, hopefully they spend it wisely. Detroit's going to be in the Super Bowl. But I'm worried about my LeBron. Do you think the GOAT's foot is going to be all right, that they can go into the playoffs, deeply in the playoffs?
Well, Greg, I will use that as a tease. I'm going to talk about some of those teams a little bit later. So I will use your question as a tease. Say hi to Shep for me if you call him tonight.
I will do that. And El Bardo and everybody, go for your dreams. Thank you, El Bardo Winkler.
All right, yeah, Albardo. Okay, yep. Greg has called my show in the evenings. He has never called me Albardo until I said Albardo this week. And as you heard there, he called me Albardo. I counted 4 times, maybe 5. Reference to the Simpsons. We'll talk more about the NBA, of course, coming up. We will talk with Joe Vardon next hour from The Athletic. Want to take a look at really the teams at the top, who's the most likely to kind of stay there. Some of the teams that are a little bit lower, maybe battling in these play-in games. It's interesting, if you watched last night, it's the Warriors and the Lakers. These are 2 name brands. Okay, they've been NBA, like they've been atop the hierarchy for a decade. And then you look at where they are in the standings, they're 9th and 10th. It's like, oh yeah, that's weird. Well, who's in first? The Timberwolves? The Thunder? If you're somebody who doesn't pay attention to the NBA until like after the All-Star break, you look at the standings and you're like, what? When did these teams get good? But they did, and they are. And we'll talk about that a little bit throughout the show. One team in baseball has had enough. If baseball's not going to fix the problem, they're going to fix this Pantsgate on their own. We'll tell you what they are up to and who's doing it, and also just how bad this is getting in Major League Baseball. I'm Bart Winkler, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Zach Gelb Show is on the air across the nation on CBS Sports Radio. Here's Zach Gelb.
CBS Sports Radio. I'm Bart Winkler, in for Zach today. Great to be with you. I guess Zach is bachelor party? Is that the deal with Gelb? Bachelor party?
That is right.
Oh, great. Okay. I'm looking at his Twitter account. It looks like he went grocery shopping. And
That's what I did during my bachelor party. It's crazy.
so okay, so Zach Gelb, I'm in for Zach, so I feel like it's fair to update you on where the normal host is when they're I'm a fill-in, right? I mean, I have a show though. What am I? Am I just a different show today? I'm filling in for Zach and Shep's filling in for me? I guess so. That doesn't mean any more complicated than that. All right, so I'll tell you about Zach. He went grocery shopping. In his grocery cart are Cosmic Brownies, Lay's potato chips, Double Stuff Oreo, 1F, Chips Ahoy, oatmeal cookies. Guys, I hate to ask an inappropriate question, but is the guy getting married 13? What kind of bachelor? He brought kids snacks. What's he
there's
doing?
Reese's peanut butter cups. I see some Kit Kats in there. Doritos. there are a few cases of. I think that must be hard seltzer next to the M&Ms. A sentence I never thought I'd say, but there's something going on there.
Yeah, right next to the Cool Ranch chips and the Push Pops, you can find some High Noon seltzer. Oh, okay. And then there was another picture of a cooler, so it looks like he is golfing.
So here's the question, though. I mean, listen, nothing in either of these pictures is inappropriate, A, for social media, and B, for the public. However, what is the rule, at least from your standpoint, of what happens on the bachelor party stage in the bachelor party, even the good stuff, right? Because if you're gonna document the good stuff, then all those moments that you're not documenting, you have to assume that they're doing bad stuff, right? So I've always been of the mindset that when you're on a bachelor party, there's no communication with the outside world, especially with significant others. Posting pictures of the shopping cart and the beer cooler for golf is breaking a man code, no?
I just think that we're in an era where, and I'd like to take us out of this era. Not everything needs to be, and this is not an attack on Zach.
Yes, it is.
This is not. This is not an attack on Zach. If you take it as that, that's your own brain making that determination.
Check.
Not everything needs to be content, is what I'm saying. Okay? When Zach went to the Super Bowl, I know more about the meals that he ate than the meals I ate that weekend. I saw a steak he had. I saw a nice lavish dinner. It's like I can't even. Maybe I'll just document my life this weekend on online. But like all the lame stuff I do, like I'm gonna take my kid. We do. There's an open gym every Saturday morning at one of the elementary schools. Maybe the same way that he took a picture of all this food, I'll take a picture of like the baseballs and the hockey sticks and like the gym equipment and be like Boys Day or something really stupid, you know, because everything's got to be content.
Boys Day sounds like a PG-13 movie or some cheesy like
Boys
Day. Yeah, boys. I've heard of Boys Night or like Guys Night, but like Boys Day sounds, I don't know, creepy and or funny.
Do you guys? One of you has kids, right, or no?
Yes, I have a 14-month-old now.
Oh, 14-month?
Yeah.
Kovacs, nothing for you?
Nothing for me. Nope.
No, Stu is my 14-month.
Yeah, I thought so. He looks very grown up for his age.
Yeah, that beard he came out with the beard.
So when we used to, I'll talk about how you can see baseball players' private parts later. I'm going to continue this for a minute. But when we used to like babysit, because my kid's 4, but we used to babysit our nieces and nephews, and we would be exhausted after the weekend, just exhausted because they came to town and we wanted to, I guess, show them a good time. Like, you're in the big city, okay, you got to, like, you know, do some stuff, and we were just exhausted all the time. But I still feel like every weekend needs to be an event for this little guy. There's not a lot of days that we just sit home and do nothing. Every weekend is still an event. Like, the only thing we have planned this weekend is this little open gym I signed him up for. But it's going to be the middle of the afternoon, and we're going to go on an adventure, and that could just mean, like, to Target. But we got to do something. We could go to a children's museum. I took him to Chuck E. Cheese one time, which is not like how you remember, but it is still for a 4-year-old, his eyes do.
So how
glow.
I remember it is gross, disgusting, and smelled weird. Is it not like that anymore?
Yeah, it's clean.
Oh.
Refurbished.
No.
But also, like, no one was there.
Yeah, see, nobody wants to go to a clean, refurbished place. They want the nastiness. They want the nasty Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. So they did have the animatronic band, you know, the Risky Rats band or whatever the hell. They did have that. The thing I will say about I don't want to. Is Chuck E. Cheese, are they a sponsor? Chuck E. Cheese not a sponsor, are they?
No, not anymore. They
so.
used to be, and then people were just ripping them too much on the air.
And then everybody went there and they're like, "This place sucks."
That's why it's been renovated, because we were just trashing it too badly.
So the problem with the problem I had with Chuck E. Cheese is that I was all aboard. I was like, all right, I'm taking my kid here. It was a daddy Sunday, the day that we did it. It was Boys Day. My wife was out of town. So it was a daddy Sunday, and we went to Chuck E. Cheese, and I was like, kid, I got this card. We will slide it. We'll play $200 worth of games if you want. We're going to get all these tickets. We're going to get you a big prize. You're going to have the time of your life, man. You're going to have the time of your life. So I spent way much more money than I should have. We did get a good haul of tickets. Let's say we get, I don't know, 580 tickets, let's say. I don't know the exact number, but let's say that. And then you go to the ticket board, and everything is like 70,000 tickets. There's not even, you can't even get anything for, so we got this little badminton. You get the birdies, right? It's a birdie, and then there's like a drawn-on head on the top there, and you press it and it shoots into the sky. I paid $200 for that thing.
200 tickets or $200?
Well, essentially $200 to get the 700 tickets so that I could buy that, and I think I got 3 rolls of sweet tarts. Like, the Chuck E. Cheese business model, it's okay to have the big ticket prizes, but you can't have them cost so much. So
I remember the big ticket prizes being like way cooler than that. They were like drones or maybe like, remote control cars. The birdie was always like 4 tickets. You know?
They jacked up the price.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the eraser and the pencil were like 2 tickets. And then you have 10,000 tickets for the remote control car. 700 tickets for a birdie is inflation's going out of it's hitting Chuck E. Cheese. It's nuts. Where's the Fed when you need them?
Not only did it hit Chuck E. Cheese, it hit Chuck E. Cheese the hardest. It hit it the hardest.
It took the E away. He's just Chuck Cheese now.
Yeah, okay. Oh, a 12-pack of soda. Oh, I used to get it for $5. Now it's $7.99. Oh, okay. Oh, the eggs went up a little bit. Oh, okay. The drone at Chuck E. Cheese went up 700,000 tickets. It is out of control. So we need somebody to run on that platform. Bring back the Chuck E. Cheese of my youth. Lower the prices. Stop cleaning the place every day. I like to go in the Chuck E. Cheese bathroom and there's that sign and it says, this was last cleaned. And I don't like it to be the same year that it currently is. That's the Chuck E. Cheese I grew up with. That's the Chuck E. Cheese I know. All right. Apparently that was within me and I needed to get off my chest. I didn't know. But thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to do that. And I'm happy to have done it on Zach's show instead of mine, where mine is more prestigious and tightened up. And we talk sports and we don't get into nonsensical discussions like how I come here and treat it as my own Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, that's $200 an hour for my services. So, if you want to sit down, I got a couch here. We can lay down. We can go through all the rest that you need to get off your chest.
How about Zach will pay you in these double stuffed Oreos when he gets back, and the cosmic brownies?
Don't tempt me. I can go through like 2 packages of those in a day.
I mean, this card. Please go look at Zach Gelb's Twitter and look at this card. It is. I mean, he bought this for. He's on a field trip. He is not on a bachelor party. He is on a field trip. 855-212-4227. We will talk about baseball's jerseys. And here's something I don't think they thought of yet. What happens if it rains? We'll get into that. Right now, an update with Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
On paper mache, at least. With free agency in the NFL just about to begin, teams can take comfort in knowing they can spend more money. The salary cap will go up $30 million next year. The big rise attributed to the full repayment of amounts advanced and deferred by the players during the pandemic. The Saints have a lot more financial flexibility before the start of free agency, reworking Derek Carr's deal to open up $23 million in cap space, while the Dolphins are set to release defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah. The Thunder and Timberwolves have been a great story and remain in a battle for the Western Conference lead. The Wolves are back in action tonight, looking for their 5th straight when they host the Bucks. Oklahoma City has pulled to within a game of Minnesota and opened the second half with a win over the Clippers. Head coach Mark Daigneault acknowledged there's more work ahead for his team, but right now trying to accentuate the positive.
The thing I'd say is, in the first part of the season, we did a lot of good things. One of the things I reflected on All-Star break was not allowing the fact that we had a good record in the first part of the season, or the fact that we had some early success, get in the way of continuing to have a very aggressive, exploratory mindset with the team.
The Clippers try to recover from that loss last night against the Grizzlies in Memphis. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Zach Gelb Show is on the air across the nation on CBS Sports Radio. Here's Zach Gelb.
And In for Zach today, I am Bart Winkler, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4CBS. Thanks for spending some time with us on this Friday, whether it's on your normal friendly affiliate or perhaps the Odyssey app or the few, the proud that are on the CBS Sports Radio YouTube channel. Yes. You ever want to put a face to the mouth and be like, I thought that guy would be fatter. That's what people always say. Not that I'm not a little fat, but that's what they always say. Do I sound like I'm that? I don't know. I'll take it as a compliment. I thought you would be fatter. Also, I see why you're on the radio. Thank you. Well, I got one person dumb enough to marry me, so that's enough. Dave's in North Carolina. Hey, Dave.
How you doing, bud?
What's up?
This whole father-son thing, you need to start thinking outside the box a little bit.
No more Chuck E. Cheese?
No. So a good friend of mine asked me to watch her two twin boys so she could take her 12, turning 13-year-old daughter out for a girl day. So I thought, that's no big deal. I said, me and the boys get along fine. So a buddy of mine comes over, and we go out, and we send her pictures of what we're doing. And the first picture she gets are these 10 raised up by 11-year-old boys at Hooters.
Oh, boy.
And they're surrounded by the Hooters girls, and the boys had these humongous grins on their faces.
Well, my kid's only 4, so I don't think we're going to Hooters quite yet.
Well, in the future.
In the future. Maybe
picture,
maybe when he's 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 is a good age to start. The next picture she got was we were at on a cigar lounge, and we were at the cigar lounge, and the boys had cigars still in the cellophane wrappers in their mouths with Shirley Temples and rocks glasses, toasting up to mom with this girl named Erica that works for me. Erica is healthy, if you know what I mean.
Oh, sadly, I think I do.
Yeah. She was blessed. And then the next picture she got is we pulled the top off the Jeep and strapped the boys in the back, and we went mudding, 4-wheeling in my Jeep, and they were covered head to toe with mud. You got to think outside the box just to drive mom crazy.
All right, well, Dave, good suggestions. I think maybe this weekend I'll just go buy a new Lego set. Again, we got some time for that. He is 4. You know, one thing that I want to do with him in the summer, he does like going to baseball games, or at least, you know, kids. The thing that I'll remember about bringing my kid to a baseball game for the first time is when we got into the ballpark, his eyes lit up. Not because, wow, baseball, not because of anything like that, but he had never physically been in a building that large, I think. You know, if you have young kids, like, even if you go to Target or the grocery store or something like that, somewhere that's bigger than a daycare room or their bedroom, it's like, whoa, this is crazy how big a place can be. So I want to take him to more baseball games this summer, but that might be more risque than even Hooters or a cigar lounge or off-road in the mud, because these baseball jerseys, I don't understand it. So the San Diego Padres, I believe they had another spring training game here. They said, we're done. They are wearing last year's pants. They're wearing last year's pants because the jerseys, you may have seen some outcry over it with baseball's jerseys. They're ugly. They are bad. It's a bad jersey. So Nike helped Fanatics design these, and the material's thinner is the excuse. So the plates, the jersey plate, the names can't be as big. The numbers can't be as big. It looks like, you know, on your phone, you can like zoom in and zoom out. It looks like someone took an image and then zoomed in. If you know that GIF on Twitter or your phone or whatever, it's John Cena's face, and his face stays the same, but his eyes and his nose and his mouth all shrink into his head. That's what it looks like happened with these backs of the jerseys. So they're ugly, okay? They're ugly. The sleeves don't match even each sleeve, but an ugly jersey is something that a sport can, like, withstand. You can get over an ugly jersey. Rob Manfred, though, I think is an absolute what do I want to
Genius?
say?
Legend? All-time great?
What are all the opposites of those? Because did you hear what Ranford said about it? He goes, well, we think, and we're not even talking about the see-through part yet. This is just based on how the jerseys looked. He said, well, we think it's something that our fans will get used to and they'll come to like. And that's always his answer. When there's outcry, like this guy would be a great king. You know, because
King Manfred.
Kings, you know, back in king time, they would always you'd have all the peasants be riled up and be like, boo the king. And the king would just look down and be like, they'll tire themselves out. They'll get annoyed of complaining. They'll find something else. And that's what Manfred does. That's what Manfred does. Whenever there's a problem or there's something somebody doesn't like, he says, no, you'll get used to it. You'll get used to it. So Manfred, there was no rush for him to solve this problem because in his head, it's not really a problem. But then the full body photo shoot started. And okay, you see some of these guys and they're wearing the jersey and they tuck it into their pants. And you can see the outline of the jersey through the pants, especially like the egg white ones. And you're like, that looks bad. That looks bad. And then if you're wearing like boxer briefs, you can see the outline of it. Okay, that looks bad. Still, it's bad, but we're not at crisis mode yet. Then there were some pictures yesterday of guys wearing the jerseys on the field. And if they bend over a certain way or at all, you see the whole equipment shed.
Kit
You
and
see the
caboodle?
whole, you see everything. There's a lot of baseball euphemisms we could use here. The bat and balls we could use. Well, that's kind of the main one. But there's a lot. You see a lot. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the players, first of all. But it's really embarrassing for the sport. So the Padres are like, we're not wearing this pants anymore. We're going to wear last year's pants, and you guys figure it out. When you get us new pants, we'll wear those again. And I think more teams are going to have to follow suit. These pants, you can't wear them. You can see the outline of everything. And maybe that's what baseball wanted. Maybe they're like, okay, we really want to spice up this game. Let's have these guys basically be naked. Maybe that is the galaxy brain way to look at it. But I also think it's just interesting how baseball, when they're talked about, I brought this up last night on the Bart Winkler Show, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on these affiliates and the Odyssey app. Free to listen to, free to download. When do we ever talk about baseball when we talk about the accomplishments? I think there was one day last year where Shohei Ohtani had a really good performance on the mound, and he also might have hit a couple home runs. And so you had to talk about it. It was like, wow, this is something that's never happened, or at least hasn't happened in 120 years, not in the modern age of baseball. But we barely ever talk about baseball. What do we talk about? What have been the stories the last 5 years in baseball? It's been, the new rules. The novelty on that's going to wear off. New rules. Or we complained about, the rules beforehand, or, the game's too long, or we say, they can't market their stars, or baseball has a labor dispute, or they have a COVID season where they could have easily played. Other leagues were starting. Protocols were being set up. They were scrimmaging against each other for a month. They could have easily played a 100-game season, but everybody was complaining about the dollars and cents of it all. So that year we only got a 60-game season. Even this offseason, the contracts, Shohei's massive contract. Baseball gets talked about a lot, but rarely is it about the actual baseball. And I don't know how we change that. Maybe baseball is just boring to talk about, and the only way to really drive a conversation on it is to have one of these big picture kind of macro conversations. Because in basketball, there's a lot of drama that we talk about. I know J.J. Redick was kind of alluding to that, how he can do a breakdown and nobody watches it, but he can rip on a coach and it's drama. But that's at least like within the framework of results. That's at least within the framework of results. In Milwaukee, the manager, Craig Counsell, left to go to the Cubs. He is a Milwaukee-born man. He has worked for the Brewers forever. His dad used to work for the Brewers. He was around that ballpark as a youth. And then the Cubs are the rival, and he goes to the Cubs. No one cared outside of my little neck of the woods. If you had that in any other sport, it'd be a bigger story. Nobody cared here. Doc Rivers, what's going on with Doc Rivers? You got all these old players speaking out. We're never doing that with managers. It's like baseball hasn't found the way to get back into the conversation and actually talk about the game. It's always some nonsense. Spring training is starting this week. And it's nice to see, the pop of the glove and, hey, look who reported, and, we're excited. This could be a good year. It's nice to see all that. But there's not a true, even in a week where basketball's off for the week, football, there's not really much going on in football. The Super Bowl just wrapped. We've got the salary cap increase, so that's a story now. And there's going to be guys that start getting franchise tagged, and there's going to be guys that get cut for cap casualties. Baseball's starting spring training. Has anybody read any article or heard any conversation about, well, here's who might be good this year and why? I haven't, and I certainly haven't done the work myself, so I guess I'm complaining at myself here too, but baseball just cannot seem to, we never talk about the baseball. We always talk about a rule that needs to be changed, or how the jerseys look, or the contracts, or we gripe about the small market, large market thing. We never actually say like, oh, this guy changed his pitch arsenal. This guy changed up his swing. Oh, how will this team do this year? They got more of a focus on offense instead of primarily defense, and the pitching staff. We don't do that. And I don't know if it's because it's not a regional sport. Again, baseball's not a regional sport. It's just if you watch your team every day, how are you ever going to watch anybody else's team? So maybe you don't know the storylines in any other team. But baseball's in the news this week because we can see what do they call home runs? Dongs? I'll say that in the right context as to not get in trouble. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
CBS Sports Radio, great to be with you. I am Bart Winkler in for Zach this afternoon. You can join us, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4CBS. You can also get your questions in via Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, get to ask a question thanks to our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question to either at CBS Sports Radio or at Bart Winkler Show using the hashtag AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We may answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I think it's fitting to bring this up since the tentpole segment of my show, which you can catch late night here on CBS Sports Radio, is our Thursday feature, the Bartometer, which started as my Bart's Pressure Playoff Index or something, turned into the Bart Barometer, which I don't even think makes sense. But then it turned into the Bartometer. We did go with Bartometer instead of Bartometer. which I think does sound better, but it's Bartometer, and hey, you gotta brand. You know, I gotta name Bart. It's a weird name, not that common. I gotta use it as much as I can. So the Bartometer, and last night we had the Bartometer, and the Bartometer is not like me. Okay, I want to make this clear. If you catch the Bartometer, it is not me giving an opinion. I made a device. I made a machine that calculates opinions and lists and settles debates for us. It took a lot of work. It's constantly being tinkered. It needs to adjust based on new information. It's always learning history as well. And I believe it's got some of its own AI capabilities where it's becoming sentient as well and learning to live on its own and, future kill me. But the Bartometer last night was tasked with which teams in the NFL are currently the most miserable. Like what fan bases right now are having the toughest time. You know, as my kid might say, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a bad day. Which teams are having a bad day? And what I found interesting is we've used the Bartometer before to say who's got the most pressure this weekend in the playoffs. Who's the most likely to cost their team the Super Bowl? You know, things like that. Who are the best quarterbacks in the league right now? Things like that. And everybody, talks, hey, this should have been higher, that should have been. But this one was different because this was basically a list of which teams should feel the most dejected. Now, there's some teams that have optimism. There's some teams even in this list that you can think have optimism. There's some teams in this list from last night that are still contenders for next year. But in terms of where teams feel dejected, there were a lot of people that called in and were almost upset that their team wasn't on the list. This is not a list you want to be on. You don't want to be dejected. You don't want to be on this list. But this is what the list was last night. I'll reveal it here. Fans that are the most miserable currently. Number 8 was the Minnesota Vikings. They're in a division where everybody else is feeling optimistic, and then what the hell are they up to? Number 7 was the New York Giants. The Giants, not pretty right now. And yes, Daniel Jones, that $40 million doesn't look as bad as it did earlier in the week. You got the salary cap going up. It's less of a percentage of the overall cap. Woohoo. The Steelers came in at number 6. The Steelers are miserable because they don't win playoff games anymore. And this is the thing with different fan bases, is we always look at another fan base and say, how are you miserable? Mike Tomlin never has had a losing season. Well, yeah, but if you make the playoffs all the time and don't win, like that sucks. That gets annoying. So they're miserable. The Bills came in at number 5. They're miserable. And I feel for the Bills. Especially, well, any age of Bills fan I feel for. Because if you lived through those 4 Super Bowls, that was rough. That was painful. And you thought, well, it'll never be this bad again. And I still think that was worse. But this isn't any better. Like, it's constant heartache. Constant heartache, and it's all against the same team in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So that sucks. But then, if you're, like, younger, you can be like, well, I know about the history, but at least I didn't live through it. Now you got your own recipe. The 49ers were 4th on that list because, hey, you could look at the 49ers and say, how are you on that list? You've got all these championships and all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks you've had. Well, yeah, but what have we done lately? We get into big games and we lose. And now this overtime thing is going to stick with us forever. Forever. Whenever a playoff overtime comes up, Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers Super Bowl will be referenced. Forever. That sucks. The Panthers are 3. The Panthers had to give a guy a 6-year deal that we barely even heard of until like November, Dave Canales, to be the head coach, because he'll still probably get fired by this November anyway. Nobody likes that owner. They may have drafted the wrong guy. The Jets are number 2. Miserable existence. It's been a long time since they've been good. They also, I think, pound for pound, have the worst jerseys in football history. There's never been a good Jets jersey. The throwback was good when they were the Titans, the New York Titans. I like that. These Jets, I just think the Jets jerseys are awful to look at. I'd rather see see-through baseball jerseys in the rain than look at the Jets jerseys. And the Bartometer put Atlanta as the most miserable franchise and fan base right now. And I think that can be a little alarming at first because they've got some good talent. They got a new coach. There's reason for optimism. But with Atlanta, they have not won a playoff game since the Super Bowl year. They went to the playoffs, I think, the next year, maybe lost in the second round. But even since then, it's been a long time since they've been in the playoffs. And Atlanta's got it bad right now because they have the most horrific loss in the Super Bowl era. There's a lot of teams. Like if I can ask you and you can come up with 3 or 4 for your teams. I, as a Packer fan, could come up with 10 or 11. Okay? But 28-3 it takes the cake. And even when the Lions were blowing the game to the Niners, Lions fans would say, "Oh man, this is bad." And everyone else would go, "Well, you know what it wasn't as bad as? Remember when Atlanta lost and they were up 28-3 in a Super Bowl?" And Atlanta's going through an offseason. They're just trying to go through an offseason and start to look ahead, you know? They fired their coach. They're trying to look towards the future. Atlanta's number 1 on this list for me, the Bartometer, because they had to relive 28-3 all of January and February. Because when there were collapses and epic losses, 28-3 got brought up. In the Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan blew a 10-point lead again, and he also blew a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl the last time they played the Chiefs. And you remember the offensive coordinator of that Panthers team was Kyle Shanahan, or the Falcons team, rather, was Kyle Shanahan, and so that got brought up again. And then, to make matters even worse, well, you hired Raheem Morris. It looked like for a while you were going to hire Bill Belichick, who was on the sideline and benefited from the collapse of 28-3. So right now, I do think that Falcons fans are feeling the most miserable just because they had to relive that quite a bit. Now, I got a lot of feedback on it, and like I mentioned, I got a lot of people saying, why isn't our team there? Eagles fans thought that they could be there. And yeah, last year sucked. A.J. Brown with some comments. We'll hear from him later today. He called into WIP, the radio station, which WIP, shout out to them. Their athletes admittedly listen to their sports radio there. Every other city, the athletes pretend not to know what sports radio is. But Bryce Harper shouts him out, says he likes listening. A.J. Brown listened, and they didn't even have to book him. He just called in. Every other city, it's like, oh, no, we don't listen to the media. We don't know that you guys even exist. We don't. But in Philly, they're like, well, yeah, of course we listen. It's sports radio. So shout out to Philadelphia and the athletes in that town for respecting this business. And we thank you, at least our Philadelphia brethren in that chapter. The Titans fans called in. We found the few Titans fans that are left. They called in. They are feeling miserable. And the Saints. I had a guy call in last night to talk about the Saints. Almost convinced me to smash the Bartometer and make a new one because the Saints have it pretty miserable too. They won the Super Bowl back in 2009, but then since then there's been heartbreaking losses from whatever happened in Minneapolis to the Beastquake to that no call against the Rams with pass interference where that rule changed and was reviewed for a year. Bountygate was in there as well. They're always over the cap. They're in cap hell perpetually. So Saints fans could be miserable as well. I don't know if you guys have any qualms with the list or if there's anybody you would throw in there or think that should get more credit. There's one team that's not in there, and that's the Cowboys. And somebody asked why the Bartometer didn't put the Cowboys in there, and that was because Cowboys fans are too naive to realize how bad they've been, and they still think that they win every offseason. So that's why the Cowboys fans, they're too naive to know that they're bad. Did I leave guys anybody off, or the Bartometer? Did the Bartometer leave anybody off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Raiders fan. I feel it's been 20 years of misery. It's been pretty bad. I know that
the Chiefs just won in their building.
Yeah, it's not great. Keeping Pierce is nice, but other than that, there's not a whole lot to look forward to, in my opinion. So I think just with the 20 past years of, I think they've had 2 playoff appearances in those years. They've had double-digit head coaches. I feel like the Raiders have a place in that ranking.
Well, and two, there's a lot of teams that, if you look at the last 25 years or so, can really say, hey, it's kind of sucked. And that's because, what was there? One massive dynasty? And then what happened when that went away? There's another massive dynasty? So there's a lot of teams that have run into that, whether it's been in the Super Bowl or specifically in the AFC too. And you got to look you look at the AFC and you look at teams that can have optimism. Look at all the quarterbacks in there. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Let's throw C.J. Stroud in there, Trevor Lawrence. There are some good quarterbacks in there. One Super Bowl appearance to this point. And they lost, but one Super Bowl appearance because nobody can get past the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. You got to think of those guys I just mentioned. One of them is going to win a Super Bowl at some point, right, in the next 10 years. But how can you be so sure and be so confident with how there's just been dynasty after dynasty? I mean, it's been Tom Brady. Even when Tom Brady left the AFC, he went to the NFC and rolled right through Lambeau and then beat the Chiefs. So these dynasties have kind of made it worse on everybody else. So the Bartometer, you can catch it live in all its glory Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern on the Bart Winkler Show, which will be hosted tonight by David Shepard. And I believe Ryan Hickey is after this program today. So we've got me, Hickey, and Shep, the Three Musketeers, on your airwaves tonight. 855-212-4227. When we come back, we'll talk some NBA as not the second half, but the last third of the season is picked back up here. Joe Vardon's going to join us from The Athletic, senior NBA writer, to talk about what we've seen already in this next stanza of the schedule, what's to come, who's for real, who's not for real, some dark horses, all of that. And I'll throw in a little Doc Rivers and Bucks at him. Of course, I have to as well. That's coming up next. I'm Bart Winkler, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
CBS Sports Radio, great to be with you. I'm Bart Winkler in for Zach Gelb. Next week I'll be back at the same Bart time, same Bart channel, 10 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern right here on CBS Sports Radio. But happy to sit in Zach's chair today. Appreciate the hospitality. Joe Varden joining us here on the show, covering the NBA for The Athletic, doing it very well. Joe, I don't have an NBA All-Star Game question for you unless you have anything you want to say on the topic. Otherwise, we will just move on. Your call.
I mean, no one's been talking about the All-Star Game at all the last few days, so I'm sure it's a wide open terrain there. No, I mean, I guess the thing we need to keep in mind, for as much as all of us who have keyboards at our disposal or microphones in front of us, as much as we say the game stinks, and it does, people are still watching it.
Yeah.
So, when we come up with, I had an idea to merge the All-Star weekend with the in-season tournament Final Four. And it sounded really smart in my head, like most ideas do. And then, you realize that, they're not going to split up two, lucrative weekends when the All-Star Game and All-Star Saturday night is still being watched, still being paid for by sponsors.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And again, like you said, I mean, it took 5 days before somebody finally approached the topic. So if anybody's out there aspiring podcaster or writer and you want to have some takes on the All-Star game, now is the time and space to do that. So for me, Joe, I'll tell you, I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan, and this All-Star break was awful. It's been a long time since the team has played, and there's been a lot of guys volunteering information and bites and sound quotes, whether they're getting taken out of context or what. There's just been a lot of kind of bad PR around the Bucks, and one of the main culprits of that is the head coach, Doc Rivers, who is almost treating some of this press junket that he's on like it's a diary or a journal. Oh, I don't know why they hired me. I said, wait till later. It's been harder than I thought. I still think the Milwaukee Bucks, you have Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Whatever's going to happen in these next few weeks, okay, do they not get a 2 seed? Do they get a 5 seed? Those guys alone, with a healthy Chris Middleton, should play well in the playoffs. But there's been the whole Doc Rivers history thing. How, crystal ball this thing, how do you see the rest of the Bucks season playing out, for better or for worse?
Well, I thought that bringing Doc in when they did was probably the right call because, Adrian Griffin had a real issue communicating virtually anything to the players. And it was obvious early even during training camp in the preseason that there was just whatever his intentions, and they certainly well-meaning intentions, certainly a nice man and a veteran of the NBA, of course. But there was a real issue with him communicating what it was that he wanted. And it wasn't just communicating to the media, but also to the players. And I didn't think it was going to work. And so Doc is a master communicator. And I thought that the Bucks would be relatively the same, with just maybe understanding a little bit more what they're supposed to be doing and what the coaching staff wants, and just sort of feeling better about the direction as you head to the playoffs. And then, Brook Lopez gets hurt. The schedule he's not hurt. He celebrates the birth of his first child. Damian rolls an ankle. They had a couple other minor injuries. The schedule was tough, and they start losing a bunch of games. And now Doc is like, well, wait a minute, what am I doing here? I had a cushy job with ESPN, and the players had complained enough about Adrian. They know they need to make this one work, because they also kind of complained about Bud too. So they know they need to make this work, and so everyone's kind of looking at each other like, all right, well, now what? I go back to Damian Lillard being a wonderful, transcendent offensive player who's not very strong on defense at all. And in fact, the player that they traded for him, Drew Holiday, when he and Damian were on the same team with Team USA, when push came to shove, Greg Popovich played Drew because of Drew's ability to play on both ends of the floor. And that's how the Bucks won a title. And so they made this move. They wanted to change. They wanted to be different. They wanted to bring in the player that Giannis wanted to play with, and they did that. And he's an awesome offensive player. But they need to figure out how they're going to play in May and June, if they can make it that far, with somebody who gives them an entirely different set of skills at the point guard position. And it won't be the same. It'll be nothing like it was in 2021 when they went to the finals and won it. They have to change. And it's a long way of saying I'm not sure it was the coach. I'm not sure it was before. I'm not sure it is now. We're looking at this roster and how it looks today.
Yeah, I think they needed to make a change, just the way that they were stalling out. But then they made one change, being the coach, and then the Damian Lillard thing happened, and so maybe they wouldn't have made the coach change, and suddenly you could still have Mike Budenholzer, but here you are paying 3 different guys. As part of that deal, you mentioned Drew Holiday, who's with the Celtics, and I think the Celtics, it's now or never for them. because they have to do it. If you're a Celtics fan, you can't come up with more excuses. The league, I feel like there's all this conversation about who's the next face of the league when these guys retire. The league and a lot of media, especially the TV partners, have been like rolling out the red carpet for Jason Tatum to be the face of the league. All they got to do is win a title, and they can't do it. And they had the Warriors, a banged-up Warriors team, couldn't do it then. They are running away with the East right now. They're going to be the favorite. If they don't do it this year, I don't know that it ever happens for them. I'm not saying they'll need to make changes, but it's as open as it could possibly be for them, with still teams contending, and the Knicks and the Cavs and a lot of good teams playing well. But relatively speaking, this has to be their time, I think.
Yeah, you would think so, and you have to give them credit for what they've built coming into this year. And it's such a veteran team from top to bottom, and they've clearly shown the discipline and the desire to try in the regular season. That doesn't always happen with these veteran teams, but these Celtics have done that. They have shown to be the best team in the league, the best team in the league last year, certainly in the West anyway. Denver went all the way and won. And so there's no reason to doubt that happens now, except for the track record, like you mentioned. I think Drew is there to change that. You can play him, obviously, on defense in the fourth quarter, obviously. But unlike, the other players they've had playing point guard, like Drew is a real offensive, take care of the ball kind of guy. Like, he can make plays for you. He's an efficient player, and he can keep the trains moving on time on offense. So the ball doesn't have to be in Tatum's hands to facilitate, to initiate offense. You can get it to him and let him do what he's so good at doing. And I think the same with Jaylen Brown. Certainly in that final series, whether it was Marcus Smart, who was playing out of position as a point guard basically, or when it was Tatum and Brown's turn to initiate the offense, too many mistakes were made, and they lost. And so this team is set up to do it differently. It's deeper. Porzingis changes them, makes them much harder to guard, and now you have Horford coming off the bench. So you love them. You do. You love what you see from the Celtics. And then for their sake, and for the Tatum Brown legacy, you want to say this is the year.
Joe Varden joining us with the Athletic senior NBA writer. So the East, I think, there's some teams, the Cavs and the Knicks, and certainly they're playing well. In the West, I think this could be a very intriguing playoff. Nuggets, obviously, defending champs. Everybody's kind of noticing and maybe ready to push their chips into the Clippers. Some teams that are not in the top four, they could still have a run. So it's pretty tight there. The gap in the East, the gap between number 1 and 2, 7 games, is the same in the West between number 1 and 8, 7 games. So it's pretty tight right now. The two teams currently at the top maybe aren't as familiar to, the average, I'll see who's on TNT tonight, watcher. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Do either one of those teams, you think, have a more realistic shot at playing in June?
So, generally speaking, I either want to agree with what you're saying, or I certainly understand the point, which is when you have a team that plays well in the regular season but is young and inexperienced, they get into these playoff situations and they are vulnerable. And you think about the Minnesota Timberwolves, you think about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you think that they fit that mold. And certainly on paper they would. Until you turn on League Pass and watch the Timberwolves play. They are awesome. And they have figured out how to play with these two bigs, with Towns and Gobert. And Anthony Edwards is tremendous. And then Mike Conley, running the offense, and they've got a bunch of role players who are good. They have an underrated bench that's good. And so you almost wonder if they have enough to overcome that experience deficiency. And then with the Thunder, look, I have a vote for MVP, and right now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is my pick. be MVP. He's second in the league in scoring, and he's first in the league in steals. So he does it at both ends. He changes the way they play, and they're deep too. Jalen Williams having back-to-back 30-point ball games. Chet Holmgren playing like he is. They have Lou Dort over there, great wing defender. So I like both teams, but I get it. The defending champs are out there. They still have, I think, the best starting five in the league, or it's the same starting five from last year that was the best in the league. So you love them. You love the star power with the Clippers, but you wonder about James Harden's track record and Kawhi and PG's ability to stay healthy. You still have the Pelicans to talk about, and then lurking way down there, the Lakers and the Warriors. So the West is hard to handicap. Maybe you lean towards the Nuggets a little bit just because they were just there. They're as good as anybody. They know how to win, but every reason to be excited for the Timberwolves and maybe the Thunder.
Yeah, once you get through the in-season tournament and the All-Star weekend and the regular season itself, the playoffs should be pretty good. Once you get through all that. Joe, appreciate your time. Thanks for it, and enjoy the weekend. Hope to catch up with you again.
Yeah, we'll do it. Thanks for having me.
It's Joe Varden joining us again, senior writer for the NBA with The Athletic. He is on Twitter at Joe Varden, and you can follow him and subscribe to his works there as well. 855-212-4227. We will check in with some of you, got some more NBA thoughts to share, and we'll hear from A.J. Brown. A sports radio station in Philadelphia was saying some stuff about A.J. Brown, so he thought, you know what, I'm going to clear the air and call in. We'll hear from him in a little bit as well. Right now, let's get an update. Here is Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
NFL teams will have a lot more to spend next year with the salary cap going up $30 million. The unprecedented rise was due to the full repayment of amounts advanced and deferred by the players during the pandemic. The Saints came up short of the playoffs and are gearing up for a run in free agency, reworking Derek Carr's deal. The move opens $23 million in cap space. They're also reportedly going to do the same with the others, including Cam Jordan, while the Dolphins are reportedly releasing defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah and corner Xavier Howard. The Timberwolves are back in action for the first time since the All-Star break. Minnesota ended the first half with the best record in the West and 4 straight wins and will host the Bucks tonight. Mike Conley was rewarded for his leadership with a 2-year extension. The veteran guard only too happy to re-sign with the franchise.
This organization is just headed in the right direction. It's got good people leading the way, people with great intentions, and are trying to build a team that can compete for years to come and give the fans something to be excited about.
Doc Rivers has not had an immediate impact on the Bucks, who are 3-7 since he took over. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, this is JR. Let's hang out weeknights here on CBS Sports Radio for my show, the JR Sport Brief, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Zach Gelb Show is on the air across the nation on CBS Sports Radio. Here's Zach Gelb.
In for Zach Gelb, I am Bart Winkler, 855-212-4227. I throw the phone number out there, and then people pick it up and call and want to talk, so it's only probably fair to then communicate with those people. Rob is in Tucson, and he is one of those people. Hello, Rob. Thanks for calling. Hi.
Hey there, Zach. Great show you have. I just have one thing in terms of, it might be semantics with definition of regional when it comes to baseball. So the way I view it is like, if you're in Milwaukee, you care about the Brewers. You don't really care about the rest of the league. If you're in Cleveland, you care about the Guardians. You don't care about the rest of the league. So in that way, it's regional to the region, but not necessarily that the sport is more popular on East Coast, West Coast, that type of thing. So I kind of feel like we're on the same page. But that's just my interpretation of regional when they refer to baseball.
Yeah, and I'll thanks for the call, Rob. I'll follow up on that because I think that baseball itself is a national sport. What's like you could say like racing is regional, and there's people that get into racing. Hell, I like racing. Lacrosse, it's there's like a East Coast maybe hasn't quite hit everybody yet. So there's different regionals sports. Baseball, I think what's happened in baseball is if you commit to your team, that's pretty much all the time you have for is your team. So in the NFL, let's say you like the New Orleans Saints. Well, when do the Saints play? Sunday afternoon. Okay. Well, there's also games Sunday night that you watch. Monday night you watch. Thursday night you watch. Maybe other windows open up. You watch them. You've got a fantasy league. Okay, that's it's once a week. It's just so digestible. The NFL is so digestible. It's easy, and so you know about more than just your team. Yeah, you know the Saints, but you also can probably name every NFL head coach. You can name every quarterback. You can name a bunch of players. You know the history of these teams. And then come playoff time, you don't just watch Bills Chiefs because it's on. You watch Bills Chiefs because you're actually interested in those two teams in the storyline. And you know the players and you're interested. In the NBA, you watch your team. Let's say you pick a team. You are a fan of the Atlanta Hawks. And you like the Atlanta Hawks, but you like basketball. And so you turn on the TV. It's dead of winter. You turn on the TV. Oh, okay. There's some teams playing on a Thursday night. They got the doubleheader. Saturday night, there's a primetime game. There's other opportunities to watch somebody besides your team. And you're not watching your team that much. You're not watching your team as much every day, right? You're watching other teams also. In baseball, if you watch your team, you're committing 6-7 nights a week to your team. And sure, you can watch them on a Sunday afternoon and then watch Sunday Night Baseball, but you're not going to do that. Not after you just watched your team or followed your team 6 other days of the week. I mean, you got to have a little bit of time to not watch baseball. And so you don't really watch other teams. It's probably the sport where you watch other teams the least. And you don't know about these guys. Could you name every MLB manager right now? How many could I name right now? How many managers could I name? Maybe 20? I don't know. Maybe less. And I cover sports. And I like baseball. But it's so hard because you get wrapped up in your own team, and then by the time another game's on, you're not going to watch that because you got another game to watch the next day. So then when you do get into the playoffs, it's like, oh, the Braves are playing the I can't even think of a team. The Marlins. Marlins?
You had
That's
so
what I come
many
up
to
with.
choose from.
Well, I didn't want to say Dodgers. And then the teams I kept thinking of were AL teams. So I was like really racking my brain.
I mean, you can name 20 MLB managers, but you can't name one team.
Can you quiz me on that?
The managers?
Pull up MLB manager.
I have them right here, and I would be honest with you, I can do about 6 of these guys. Because a lot of them change teams, and a lot of them, I have never even heard of some of these guys.
All right, just give me a few teams and see if I can name them.
Okay, let's start with a tough one. Chicago White Sox.
Who's there now? I don't even know.
Pedro Grifol.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I did. Yep, sure, fine. All right, 0 for 1.
This one's actually not that tough. Former big name, Detroit Tigers.
The Detroit Tigers. Is this a first-year guy?
No, I believe it's his second or third year, but he had a lot of success with another team.
I have no idea.
A.J. Hinch.
Oh, yeah.
A.J. Hinch.
0 for 2.
There you go.
I said 20 I could name?
He did.
Wow.
All right. Let's ease it up a little bit, maybe. All right. We know who your team is, so let's go with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, Pat Murphy.
Yes.
Pat Murphy, baby.
Big Pat Murphy.
Murphy's Law.
And consequently, let's go with the Chicago Cubs.
Great counsel.
Yes, there you go. 2 out of 4.
We're batting 500. I'm an all-star.
Wow. All right. How about this one? Let's go. The St. Louis Cardinals.
They have a young man who is, what does his last name start with?
M as in Michael.
It's like Margor. Margor?
You were really close to the first 2 letters. Oliver Marmol.
Marmol.
Yeah, you were right there, and then you lost it. You were like Poop.
You know what? That counts. We're 3 for 5.
All right. Margaret Burger is close enough. All right,
Yeah.
Let's do a couple more here.
Couple more.
This one's not too tough. The Tampa Bay Rays.
Are we still in the Kevin Cash era?
We certainly are. Who took over in Los Angeles with the Angels?
Who took over with the Angels?
Yes. I can give you a hint if you're struggling.
Isn't it like a guy that was a catcher for a while?
I don't believe he was a catcher as a player. He was with the Rangers for years.
Who's the catcher that I'm thinking of?
Oh, that's the Mariners. Scott Service.
No, there's somebody else.
No. Joe
All right.
Girardi?
No, Girardi's out of the game again, right?
Probably.
Who's
You're asking the
manager of
wrong
Angels?
guy.
Renteria.
Renteria?
I don't know.
Oh, you're asking with the Angels. No, it's Ron Washington.
Oh, yeah, he got a job. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, Ron Washington.
2 more.
All right, two more. You want hard ones or easy ones?
One that you don't think I would know.
Okay. One I don't think that you would know. All right.
This sucks.
How about the Kansas City Royals?
Did they hire like a former Royal?
I'll be honest. I've never heard this name before, so I don't know.
Ned Yost, the 4th.
No, it is not. It is Matt Quartraro.
No,
Matt
that one.
Quartraro.
No. Cap, you made that one up. That one you made up.
He. Let's see. He was the bench coach for the Rays. Let's see. He played 100. No. Let's see. I don't know if he ever actually was a player.
Hey, someone's listening right now and saying, "Hey, this guy filling in for Zach doesn't even know every MLB manager. What's he doing on the radio? I knew more than you did."
No, but
that's enough for me.
Here's the thing, man. Like, I used to know all the major league managers also. And there was a point where, maybe I knew 20 or 25. And maybe
All right,
I knew
I'm looking them up now.
These names, I don't know.
Well,
Stephen
the thing
Vogt
is, too,
of the Guardians?
That's the one, Stephen Vogt.
Joey
one I was thinking
Espada
of.
with the Astros? Where'd that come from? John
that I don't
Schneider,
know.
Blue Jays? What?
Is it even news when teams hire a manager anymore?
Who knows? Carlos Mendoza with the Mets. Rob Thompson with the Phillies. Derek Shelton with the Pirates. Who?
So here's a good, you know how COVID's a good barometer of time in our life? That's
Sure.
what I'll use. In the American League, 10 managers that are currently managing were hired after the COVID season. 10 guys. There's no consistency. In the National League, it is 8. Yeah. I mean, sure. Okay, we can get Dave Roberts with the Dodgers and Snicker with the Braves because they've been there for a decade. Even Rob Thompson with the Phillies is tough. And Derek Shelton's been with the Pirates for 5 years, apparently. It's tough. See?
I can get you Torey Lovello, because that's the guy who seems like he's going to get fired every year and just hangs on.
Yeah, Lovello. I forgot where Bob Melvin was. He's with the Giants.
Yep.
I forgot Skip Schumacher was with the Marlins.
Dave Martinez has been with the Nationals for a little bit. Obviously, Aaron Boone with the Yankees. Mark Kotsay with the Athletics. I remember Mark Kotsay was in college,
Wow.
and he's a beast. And he played for. He was a first-round pick early. He was at Cal State Fullerton. He was a monster in college.
Well, I lose, and I also guess that I am never to work in this business again. Oh, darn. See what I mean about baseball? Nobody talks about it. Nobody knows any of these people.
The problem with baseball, not to get into it with 2 minutes left in the segment, but the season is too long where nothing seems to matter. And because the season is so long, and maybe because of the personalities of the players, they don't promote themselves. The league does a terrible job promoting the players other than Ohtani and maybe Bryce Harper, but like the big stars don't get promoted, right? Mike Trout, what do we know about Mike Trout? How often do we see Mike Trout doing anything on social media or on TV?
Yeah. Well, now you're going to see more of them. At
not
least
not the
their
kind of
body
you want to
parts.
see.
Yeah. You're not going to. You might not know Mike Trout's face, but you might know what he looks like below the belt, thanks to baseball's new jerseys.
Wear a cup.
I'll get Denny in Tucson here real quick. Denny, I got a little bit of time. What's up?
Hey, Bart. Sorry about my voice. Got a little bug right now. I just want to apologize from a Tucsonian for the other guy who called about 5 minutes ago and got you on this baseball rant for calling you Zach. You introduced yourself as Bart, subbing for Zach. Like, come on, man. Get it right.
Yeah, if you don't know like me, that's fine. But I did literally just say it
Just
before I went.
immediately right then and there, and I felt bad for you, and I was like, that's embarrassing, and I just wanted to let you know, Tucsonians, we're not that stupid, man. Thank you.
Oh no, okay. Thanks, Denny. I don't think you needed to defend your entire region or city, but I appreciate that you did that.
Yeah,
for
he
the
has
fellow
to.
Tucsonians.
I
He
know,
has to.
I'm an Arizona State guy, so I have very low expectations for the intelligence levels of those in Tucson.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Let's go
look,
Devils.
Is there a little bit of a rivalry there?
Yeah, I mean, those Wildcats, those little kitties down there in Tucson.
Oh, kitties. Wow.
Yeah.
Phoenix sucks. No, I was there last year. It's like there's a lot to do. It's nice, but is there a more spread out city in America?
It's a terrible place for a Super Bowl and an event like that. It is an awesome city. It is a great place to live as a sports fan.
Yeah, but if you're somewhere else and you're like, hey, come over to my shack. Where do you live? Oh, I'm in Phoenix. How long does it take me to get there? An hour and 12 minutes? I'm a big city density guy, one of those. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Sports Radio, thank you for making us a part of your day, whether it's by choice or if you're without choice. Maybe you're in someone's car and maybe you're, I don't know. Too many. I would assume most people listening right now, they chose to do this. But if not, I think of you and I'll try to make the experience a little better. I'm Bart Winkler in for Zach Gelb. Today, Kovacs and Samter still here to navigate the ship, and I'm gonna do this differently. I think I'm gonna do this a different way. AJ Brown talked today on WIP in Philadelphia. Great sports station, okay? One of the legacy sports stations. Bryce Harper, shout out to him. Earlier this year or last year, he said, I listen to those guys all the time. These people are athletes. Could you imagine? And it's really hard. I try not to ever compare real jobs to sports jobs because it's so different. But there's a whole industry, TV and radio, like the sports media industry. It exists to talk about these people. And then there's an industry that exists to talk about the people that talk about the people. It's crazy. But these athletes, so many of them, and they give interviews and they go on radio hits and they see the people covering and they're always like, no, I don't listen. Man, if I was like a baseball player and I got in my car after a game and I knew there was a post-game show going on, I would listen to that on the way home. How would you not? If there was a breakdown of this show after the show, I'd listen to it for the next 30 minutes on my way home. I'd be like, oh, well, yeah, I did do that wrong. I like that part. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, boy, I did suck at naming the MLB managers. Yeah, I'm a big clown, big dumb idiot. Sure. But they always pretend like they don't know what's going on. Not the case in Philadelphia. And A.J. Brown tweeted last night that he was tired of the nonsense. He was tired of the rumors. He was tired of the speculation. And so he said he was going to call WIP. He said he was going to call the radio station and set the record straight. And if you see an athlete do that and you're with the radio station, first of all, you think, oh, boy, what if he actually does this? And then second, you think, okay, how many people are going to call us at some point and say, hey, it's A.J. Brown? It's me, A.J. Brown. Oh, okay, put him on. It's not A.J. Brown. What did he recently tweet the other day? He said, Philly media is so lame. It's literally something every day. Then the fans believe the BS. They should start raising the prices of microphones and cameras because you people will say anything for views. I see why nobody likes us because we don't even like us. Hashtag reality TV. That's funny. They should raise the price. Did you guys see that clip last night with Kevin Durant where a fan was heckling him and called him a B, and then Kevin goes back there and the guy tries to get out of the tenseness of the situation by saying, I host a podcast about sports. Yeah, we all do, buddy. We all do. So A.J. Brown called into the radio station. What a great moment it is for them. I would like to steal that moment from them if I could, because we've got some sound bites. So instead of just playing the sound bites, do you guys mind if I pretend like we have A.J. Brown on the line? Like if I'm going to pretend interview him. That's what I'll do. Okay, A.J. Brown. Wow, this is he just decided to call us. A.J., thanks for your time. Hey, I got to address this off the top. Do you want out of Philadelphia?
I have no problem. I want to be here. It's as simple as that. I love where I'm at. As simple as that. Next question.
Okay, all right. I'll get right to the point then. Man, ooh, you're tightening the screws on me. Thanks for calling, by the way. What an honor this is. All right, let's just address some of those rumors. There's rumors out there, AJ, that you have issues with Jalen Hurts.
I think that's total BS. I'm not going to get into me and his relationship on the air, but it's total BS. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a problem when I was on my six game streak. They wasn't talking about that then. So they only started talking about that when we started losing.
Man, I know that's something that I would never do, A.J. Brown, but that Philly media, they've been doing it for a long time, especially towards you, sir.
What's the deal? Like, you guys supposed to be supporting Philly, but it don't turn out to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why make up so many rumors? You know what I'm saying? Like, because most of the rumors don't even be real rumors. These are rumors that you guys are making up and everybody run with. Like, so what's the deal?
Well, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Philadelphia, but I would just say that when you watch a team start 10-1 and then lose 5 of their last 6, and the big storyline is that the head coach was upset because his bodyguard got moved off the football field, it's kind of like wondering what the hell is going on around here. Plus, we don't get the access that we would like, and so we speculate on our own. I don't know that it's necessarily rumors, but there's a lot of speculation. So if that's not the case, man, we're just wondering right here as I pretend to talk to you, is everything A.J. Brown okay in the locker room?
Yeah, the locker room is fine. After the season, whatever. I just said players wasn't executing, like I said in the interview. That's what it came down to. I think the media kind of ran with the coaches. It's the coaches' fault. The coaches didn't prepare us and this and that. I never blame the coaches. I'm not the person to blame the coach. I'm not trying to blame anyone. I'm the guy who's going to look in the mirror and going to challenge everybody else. Like, it was the players not executing, and that's what happened.
I got I'll interject here. I'm the big co-host with a funny name like Toaster or Brick or something. AJ, we hear all this stuff that you say. Well, we got to know flat out, man. What went wrong this year?
When stuff started to really unravel and stuff like that, stuff started to not go as planned, then you saw what was happening. And then, like I said earlier, it was a domino effect, and it was trying to stop the bleed, and it was just everything was just going too fast at that point.
I just don't understand why we got to always get this from you. You're on Twitter, you're saying stuff. We don't understand. And if you could enlighten us, like, who is the A.J. Brown we should know?
I just truly just feel like I'm just misunderstood as a player, as a person. It gets frustrating because anything I say, anything I do, it gets magnified times 10. I'm classified as a diva. I want the ball and this and that, blah, blah, blah. When honestly, it's the other way around. You see me getting upset on the sideline, and you automatically think it's about targets. No. What if I'm holding my players accountable? Mm-hmm. What if I'm the guy that pushes everybody in the locker room, make people uncomfortable to try to better themselves for the team? What if I'm that guy?
All right, Tank, I'll take this next one, and then we'll wrap up with A.J. Brown here. So you want to be here? It sounds like we don't have to worry about that anymore. We'll kind of stop with all the stuff. It sounds like you and the Eagles are a good partnership.
I'm the person that you need on the team because I'm willing to hold people accountable, make people around me better, but nobody sees that. All you see is the little flare-ups and stuff like that. And I can honestly say, and you see the flare-ups because nobody in that building works harder than me. Nobody in that building prepares harder than me. And that's why you see the passion. That's why you see me react the way I act.
All right. Hey, A.J. Brown, don't feel the need to say goodbye or anything. Thanks for calling in. And that was A.J. Brown. How was that, boys?
That was impressive. I was very upset, though, when Toaster/Brick left and Tank took over. I mean, I don't know where Toaster Brick went, but Tank.
Hey, what? Who's talking to me? What do you want?
Listen, Toaster Brick, get me Tank or Brick or Toaster.
I go by all three names.
In what order?
Yeah. I've been doing radio in this town longer than you've been alive. All right, I know where all the bodies are buried, man. I'm the big wacky sidekick that goes to remotes and then doesn't want to talk to any of the listeners because in real life I'm actually pretty shy. But you put a microphone in front of me and I'm like the coolest guy ever. I have demons I fight. Is that all? Is that all you want from me, sir?
I was confused with the name. I just couldn't quite figure out exactly which name you went by.
What I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to call him. I couldn't settle on that. So that was nice, Honda. I like that the athlete acknowledges that the media exists. A lot of times it feels like
you know what though? I would like an athlete once to say, not only does the media exist, but man, you guys do a great job. You know, we wouldn't be getting paid the right kind of money if it wasn't for you guys promoting the sport and pumping us up. The media is an invaluable piece to the sport, to our careers, to our livelihoods. I really appreciate the media. I know you guys work hard. Sometimes you get things wrong. Sometimes you hear things and you might report too quickly. But man, you guys really, really do a great job. No, it's always, anytime they acknowledge the media, it's always to rip us apart and tell us how crappy we are and how irresponsible our reporting and conversations are. Screw them.
Yeah, and I would like them to sometimes say, hey, we know that you can't play real sports in your real life and that you just have a great passion for the games. And, you know, you also have a weird part of you that you want a job that, like, is hard but not, but is actually pretty demanding. And I know you go into a job every day where just because you're on the radio, people think that they can slide into your Facebook messages and tell you how to be a parent. That happened to me this week. And you guys do a great job. I like that happens. I wish that would happen more during their career instead of like them retiring and being like, oh no, now what do we do? And then they're like, oh, I'll do a show. Hey, you guys want me on your show? Like, well, yeah, we'll take you on the show now, but we need you when you're playing. That's the money stuff right there.
I really want them to say, listen, I know that you were a star outfielder on your high school baseball team and you might not have made it, but that you clearly know a lot about the sport and about sports in general from your high school amateur years and days. So thank you for everything that you bring, this other perspective that you bring to the game. You're welcome.
Yeah, Bart, I really appreciate that you stopped playing football in 6th grade, but because of how much you've played Madden and watched football and play fantasy football, you do have an inner working of the game. You understand tactics and stuff, so you are a valued voice in this industry.
Who was the Texans wide receiver? Was it Nico Collins? I forget who it was, who earlier in the year basically said him playing Madden helps him prepare for games because he can learn how to see the field better, understand coverages and defenses, see it from a different perspective. You know, playing video games helps. Don't give me this nonsense that just because we play video games and sit on our asses on the couch all day doesn't mean that we don't understand the sport.
I agree with you 100%. I think more coaches should play Madden for when do they can put their team through 2-minute drills, but when do coaches ever go through time management drills? And yeah, okay, if you play Madden, whatever, you can just reset it, but they should have to play against other coaches. There should be if all the coaches played Madden and it was televised, I think a lot of people would watch that. Or coached a player that was playing Madden, and then you could see their face the whole time and they could call the plays. And seeing the field, that's a great point, because I did play sports, but it was soccer, which to some people doesn't count. And I liked being the goalkeeper because I could then see the whole field. And when I would then play like midfield or forward, it was like the walls were coming in on me. And I'm sure as you're like, that's a good point from me. I'm glad you brought that up, because when you're a wide receiver, you just kind of see, and you only see like your frame of vision. But when you play it in Madden, you get that view and you get to see. So yeah, play video games, but only the sports ones, because the other ones are a waste of time, because you're never going to really get in a Clash of Clans. Oh, although maybe you think you will. Maybe.
I mean, listen, it's not about the clans. It's about building something and learning how to utilize one asset to grow another asset, and then build that into a better house, and then make more money. I mean, it's a great way. If you're not going to take like economic classes when you're in high school, which they don't actually offer really, it's a great way to learn how to build a family. Those games. Sort of.
I'm speechless. That was amazing.
I'm just saying, play those games and tell me that it doesn't help you understand how best to utilize what you have to build something better and increase your value as a human being.
Wow, what beautiful, poetic. Wow. I had something really fun here planned and some really great takes, but I simply need a few minutes to digest that. So we will take a break, and we'll come back. I'm just profound. Wow, what a great opportunity this was for a life-changing fill-in role for me today. More coming up. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Zach Gelb Show is on the air across the nation on CBS Sports Radio. Here's Zach Gelb.
CBS Sports Radio, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4CBS. I'm Bart Winkler in for Zach Gelb. Remember, you can ask the pros. We'll do a question here in the final segment. So many questions to sift through. Tweet us at Bart Winkler Show or at CBS Sports Radio if there's anything atop your mind here today. I got a question. I want to figure out what's going on with this NCAA situation. I'll just flat out read the story that was posted by Dan Murphy on ESPN.com to give you the details as we kind of learn them together here. The state of Tennessee and what was the other state? Tennessee and Virginia? There was a situation. Okay, so here we go. A federal judge in Tennessee granted a preliminary injunction on Friday that prohibits the NCAA from punishing athletes or boosters for negotiating their name, image, and likeness deals during their recruiting process or while they're in the transfer portal. This is not a final ruling, but the judge's decision will likely have an immediate and dramatic impact on how NIL deals are used in the recruiting process. The judge says, Judge Clifton Corker double C. He says the NCAA's prohibition likely violates federal antitrust laws and does harm student athletes. NCAA rules prohibit athletes from signing NIL contracts that are designed as inducements to get them to attend a school, one of the few restrictions in place for how they can make money. For example, the NCAA recently announced sanctions against Florida State football because a member of its coaching staff connected a prospect with a booster collective that works with the Seminoles. The collective made an offer to the player who was considering transferring from his current school to Florida State. Attorney General of Tennessee and Virginia argued that the NCAA is illegally restricting opportunities. So basically, the NIL, as it is it's the wild, wild west already. There are a lot of different sponsor opportunities for players, which I think most of us agree that there should be, right? These guys, the biggest thing is, like, they play a game and people profit off of them doing that. That's the biggest thing for me personally. I get it. You know, you go to university, you're there to get an education, all the arguments. You already get a scholarship, but what do you want? You got free room and board, and now you want more money? How greedy can these people be? But there's so many other people making money off of these kids. It's like, at some point, don't we all love trickle down? It's nothing was trickling down. Why these guys are just supposed to play? They're just supposed to play while everybody profits off of them? Like, that's the difference. Again, there's a big difference between how money is made in sports and how money is made in real life. And we always try to compare our jobs, our situation to sports when it can't be. There is such an ecosystem, such an economy around sports because of our desire for it. When we don't work, we like to watch sports. And we pay money to watch sports. We go to the games. TV networks fight over the rights. You see these contracts. They're not just spending $475 billion for 10 years on the NFL because they want to fill time on a Sunday. They're going to make that money back from the advertisers that know you're watching and that then try to get to you. It's very simple. And college football, which I would argue is number 2 in terms of sport. You know, we always say, well, the big four. The big four was the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLB. That's not the big four anymore. The big four is NFL, college football. I would put the NBA in there still. And then the other fourth is what? Events. The fourth pastime is events. The Stanley Cup, the MLB World Series, March Madness, you know, a big race, a big fight, the World Cup, the Masters, a big tournament. Anytime there's a big event, that's what we're drawn to. So either way, college is number 2. College is big. Saturday is basically a warm-up for Sunday. There's a lot of money that gets, like, you've seen everything that's happened here. These teams just didn't leave conferences for fun. They didn't leave it because they're like, how can we make the travel harder on our student athletes? How can we even further take the student out of student athlete by making them miss even more classes? They're doing it because of the TV contracts, because of money. So I do believe that if you're going to pay to broadcast these people playing, they should get a portion of that. And then if you're going to sell jerseys and if you're going to sell merchandise, especially the thing they used to do was, oh, you can't sell a Barry Sanders jersey in college, but you can sell a Sooners jersey or the Cowboys jersey, Oklahoma State. You can sell it with his number, but no name. Now, they're all going to be, everybody's so excited because this NCAA football game is coming back. And I think each player, if they opt in, gets $600, which I think that's good. I don't know. I mean, you're in a game and $600 seems good. but also how much is the video game company going to make? But also, that's a lot of players to send a $600 check to. So what this does then is it's already Wild Wild West. So I'm sort of saying it's good that these players have an opportunity. And yeah, some guys get the big endorsements. But I remember there was a game the first year that NIL kind of came into play. There was a game that the Kansas Jayhawks played, and a tight end, third string guy, like caught a winning touchdown pass. Nobody knew who he was. I don't think he had any endorsements. And then Applebee's is like, oh man, we got to get this guy in a commercial. And so he was in a commercial. And he got money. He got paid. He got like a reward for his good play. And so I do like that those opportunities are there. I think where it gets tricky and where a lot of us or the common fan is a little concerned is, I don't know, integrity of the game maybe. Is that the phrase we want to use? Like, basically, what if this goes through, and it's currently fair game right now in these two states, but if this goes through, you can use the NIL to then convince a guy to come play for you. So from my understanding, you would go there and then, all right, I'm a member of the Tennessee Volunteers, and then there's a collective that says, all right, well, here are the places where we can help you find NIL deals, and here are the sponsors that work with us, and oh, this guy's a big booster. He's got a car dealership. Do you want to do some ads there? You know, you think where you're going to play first. I'm not naive to think these players don't know what opportunities are available for them. You do research on that. There was one guy that was trying to transfer between, I think he ended up going to Wisconsin, but he was going to back out because he had an NIL agent, which I don't think is a thing or was a thing. It could be now, because now come to Tennessee, we'll give you this deal. These are the deals available for you. You're basically offering them a big signing bonus to consider you in the first place. And that's going to open up it's already Wild Wild West, but it's going to be even more so now with this being the case. What will the long-term ramifications be? I think that you're going to have... See, the problem right now is that nothing's final. And that's why, even though I'm not sure the number is substantially higher, but you've seen some guys leave the college game to then go to the pros, okay? You've seen a little bit of that. It never ends. If you're the coach at a university, it never ends for you. You have to recruit guys. You got to go on the visits. You got to hope that they like your team. You got to promise a role for them. You got to get them in there. And then when all that happens, just because they walk on campus and attend one practice for you, that doesn't mean that you have them. You got to basically recruit them every day. If there's ever an issue, you got to think, well, how do I attack this? How do I rectify the situation? Because if I don't do it to his liking, this player is going to leave me, because there's other opportunities where they can go play somewhere else. They can get more playing time. They can get more money through whatever NIL situation they can get. So it's very hard. Jeff Hafley was the coach at Boston College, just went to Green Bay to be their defensive coordinator. He spoke yesterday for the first time to the Green Bay media, and he was like, I watched tape for the first time in a while. I just got to watch tape. I didn't have to worry about recruiting anybody. I mean, that part of the game, I never understood why anybody would want to be a college coach in the first place, because there was just so much time that you had to do other stuff, and you were spread thin. If you really want to be a coach to like mold young minds or whatever, high school would be the place. College, it's too hard. There's too much. And by the time they get into the pros, well, then they're professionals. And if you actually enjoy coaching that age, it's really hard because you barely get to actually do the coaching. And now what this is going to do is when there's a high school visit, they'll be known about the sponsors that they can get or the NIL deals they can get. And it's just a lot more noise, a lot more decisions. And there's nothing like really final about it. That's another thing that's bothering me with realignment is, yes, okay, we've got realignment, but what's the next thing to happen? Because Remember when USC and UCLA bolted to the Big Ten? There was still going to be a Pac-12. It was just going to be without those two teams. But before USC and UCLA even got to the Big Ten, a bunch of teams jumped to the Big 12. Other teams jumped to the ACC. More teams jumped back to the Big Ten. And the Pac-12 is dead. Well, it is still the Pac-12. There's two teams. They actually just hired a new commissioner that starts on the 1st. She gets like 2 years to try to figure out how to save the conference, and then they lose their conference exemption. So it's either like you're the commissioner of the Pac-12 with two teams. You either have a pretty easy job where you just kind of like sit there and what can you do, or you got a really hard job because you're tasked with saving the conference. So it's another ruling. And these stories, I mean, how many stories? I was talking about baseball earlier, that how many stories about baseball are actually about the game? It's always about something else, contracts or uniforms. You can see through them. With the NCAA, how many stories do you hear a lawyer has said, the antitrust law? I mean, it's always this. And it takes away from the game. And I think that when players jump ship all the time and you don't know where they're going, and we don't mind. I think for the most part, we're okay if they make money. In fact, we might encourage it. But we don't want to see the process of it. And with this, we continually see the process of it. So big ruling today, something certainly to follow. I'm sure Zach will have more when he's back next week because we'll find out more details on this over the coming days. I am Bart Winkler, in for Zach. One more segment to hang here with you. Right now, let's get an update from Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, Bart, it's a good time to be a free agent in the NFL. With the salary cap going up an unprecedented $30 million next year, the major increase a result of the full repayment of amounts advanced and deferred by the players during the pandemic. Derek Carr's first season in New Orleans brought some optimism for the future. The quarterback had his deal redone today to open $23 million in cap space, and the Saints also reportedly to do more to adjust other contracts, including one to Cam Jordan. The Dolphins reportedly releasing defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah and corner Xavier Howard. The Warriors looking more and more like the champs they once were, rather than a team scratching and clawing its way into the play-in tournament. They opened the second half last night with a win over the Lakers and host the Hornets tonight. Golden State is now on 9 of 11. Steph Curry said they've turned a corner.
Literally every game matters for us to, do that. So I think I'm just trying to enjoy what's happening each game, understanding what it's going to take to win that particular game. It's a lofty goal, but we know, we can't get there.
The Hornets have surprisingly won 4 in a row. The Timberwolves at the top of the West also riding a 4-game winning streak as they open the second half and will host the Bucks, who are 3-7 since the coaching change. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again. Brothers, sisters, everybody say.
CBS Sports Radio, I am Bart Winkler, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4CBS. In for Zach today, Ryan Hickey has you covered in the next time slot. And my show tonight, David Shepard. Good old Shep will be manning the controls. That starts a little bit later at 10 p.m. Eastern. So I just do the one show, so I'll have a Friday night. My Milwaukee Bucks play the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the Central Time Zone, but because of national TV schedules, the game starts at 9:15 local time. Because I think it's on national TV on ESPN, so that's weird. So I'll be watching that most likely. I don't get a lot of nights at home with the late shift, and my wife and I like to watch Law and Order together. So we'll binge on those tonight. That's like the one show we can still find. She's got the Housewives and the realities, and I just like sports. Well, and wrestling. Wrestling, guys, there's a pay-per-view tomorrow in Perth, Australia. It starts at 6 p.m. local time, which is 5 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Central if I want to enjoy that. So I don't know yet. I'll probably just watch it on tape delay. We'll see. All right, let's get to an Ask the Pros here. Time to answer the Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This one's from Mark in Alabama. He says, Bart, love the show. What a great job you do. Such a nice person also, probably.
He's a liar.
The question is, which team that is not currently top 4 in either NBA conference could have the best shot to make a deep run? You can submit your questions each and every time we do this by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio. Use the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I think the game last night that I mentioned between the Warriors and the Lakers, it's like, this is a big game. Wow, two good teams, name brands here. But they are currently 9th and 10th in the Western Conference. So here's how the East stacks up as we get back into basketball. Celtics, again, this is crazy. They've got a 7-game lead over the next closest team, which is the Cavaliers. 7-game lead, all right? In the Western Conference, 7 games separate teams 1 through 8. So it's very, very tight. Just because you got a seeding number next to your name right now, that doesn't mean clearly you're going to be that seed at that point. So the Western Conference, this regular season, really going to get interesting. I think what happens here in the NBA, because we complain about the All-Star game, we complain about the regular season, we complain these guys don't play enough, and for the most part, I think the 65-game rule is kicked in, and guys seem to be playing a little bit more, although it was weird last night. LeBron, you were in the All-Star game, you don't play last night. A couple other guys rested dudes after a week of rest. Okay, so that was strange, but to each their own. So we get to this point now where you've had the All-Star break, you've had a long regular season, and now you can look at it, okay, we got to focus here. We got 2 months to figure out if we're making the playoffs, and then at what seed and what's our path going to be. So I think the games themselves will start to get a little better until teams are eliminated, and then there's the weird final week where nobody plays. And then we'll get into the playoffs, which is such good basketball. It's a shame they can't play like that every game, okay, but also, it was kind of weird that they used to. We always look at, back in the day, they used to try so hard. Well, yeah, they didn't really need to, but all right. More pride, I guess, back in the day. So in the East, you have the Celtics, Cavs, Bucks, and Knicks. So who besides them could make a run? Probably nobody. I think my answer is going to be nobody. The Sixers have slid down to the 5 seed, and that's without Joel Embiid. We still don't have a definitive answer on when he's going to come back, if he's going to come back. There was a report, the latest report that I saw was that Embiid could come back by the end of the regular season, but there's no definitive answer on that. So if they don't have Embiid, they're not going to win. If they have Embiid, they were looking even better. That James Harden trade worked out for both teams because the Clippers look great. It took a while for things to get settled, but they look great now. And then the Sixers were really figuring it out. And they were getting other guys to step up. Tyrese Maxey has become a very, very good player. I don't know that the Sixers, without Embiid. And even with Embiid, then they're kind of road warriors the whole time. The Pacers are a team, I think, that just a little too soon for them. They got to that in-season tournament. They got some of the lights to shine on them that they hadn't normally gotten. I think they got a little confident, a little too confident. They seem to talk more than they walk. I wouldn't put them in there. Magic, Heat. I know what the Heat did last year, but that's not happening again. And everybody else is bad. In the West, really, it's anybody's game. So in the West, you go Timberwolves, Thunder, Clippers, Nuggets. And then the Pelicans, they've been playing well. They've won 4 in a row. I think the Mavs were on national TV too. That's where you see a lot of the narratives form, is when we actually watch a game that's on national TV. And last night they beat the Suns. And Kyrie has been looking good, and Luka has been turning in an MVP-style performance throughout the season. They've won 7 in a row, and they're as healthy as they've been. They made some trades, got some bigs. They could be a team, but then a lot of these teams could. So in the East, it's like, no, it's the top 4 and then maybe a healthy Sixers team. In the West, I think the Western Conference playoffs could be as good as any that we've seen in a long time. The Timberwolves are good. It's true. This is not a fluke that they're up there. The Thunder, I didn't expect them to be good so soon. Well, they are, and SGA could be the MVP. We talked to Joe Vardon earlier. That's going to be his MVP vote. And that's good. Like, they've only been on national TV maybe 6 or 7 times, the Thunder. So it's good that people are recognizing what he is doing there, Gilgeous-Alexander, with the Thunder. And then the Clippers are going to get a lot of attention because, well, it's an L.A. team, okay. I know it's the Clippers, but they are stock is up on them, getting a new arena. And they've got Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden, and they are playing very well together. And they could be certainly a finals contender. And then the Nuggets were just there, and Jokic is a monster. The Pelicans, the Mavs, the Suns, the Kings, the Lakers, the Warriors, I'd cut it off there. That's all the way to number 10. So even those play-in games, in the East, the play-in tournament is going to be a waste of everybody's time. An actual waste of time. Right now, the matchups would be 7 plays 8 and 9 plays 10 right away, and then they figure out the next matchup. But the Magic and the Heat, a battle for Florida supremacy.
Well, hold on a second. Now, real quick.
What?
I'm kind of excited by the Magic. Banchero looks good. Franz Wagner looks good. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony. This is a team that has a future. I'm kind of excited to see what they can do. They're not going to make a run this year, but could they make a second round? Maybe.
Oh, do you guys want my hottest of takes? Okay. The Detroit Pistons are going to make the playoffs next season. How about that? 8-47 right now.
Who's the first pick in the draft?
Yeah, it's good roster. Although Monty Williams kind of forgot how to coach. You know what? I think the Golden State Warriors are not dead yet. Is that weird to say? Lakers are going to be the Lakers, but the Warriors, little bit of a youth infringement here, movement, I should say. They tried it with Wiseman and Poole, didn't work. But now they got Kuminga coming along. Clay's coming off the bench, which the first night it was good. He had 35, and then last night I think he might have had 1 made bucket, maybe. They just keep tinkering on trying to find their perfect lineup. Chris Paul is going to come back at some point for whatever that's worth. So we'll see what happens in the NBA. But I think there's going to – I really think the Western Conference playoffs, the play-in again, your Magic against the Heat. But then the other one's Bulls-Hawks.
Yikes.
The Chicago Bulls, this version of them, the most mediocre team to ever mediocre. I don't know what they're doing. They didn't make any trades. They're trying to play for a playoff seed. They think they can be the 8th seed after the tournament's said and done, and then do what? Play the Celtics? The Celtics beat them last night badly, and there's no... You watch a game sometimes between two teams, and you say, okay, they beat us there, but we see a path to attack. There's none. They are bad. The Hawks, this Hawks team was almost in the finals 2 years ago. I don't know how that happened. They got all the way to the Eastern Conference. Trae Young has been in more Eastern Conference finals than Joel Embiid. Somehow, some way. In the West right now, it would be Suns-Kings. at 7-8, and then Lakers Warriors at 9-10. No matter what these teams do, just treat the play-in tournament with the respect it deserves. Last year, the Dallas Mavericks.
Sorry.
Well, last year, the Mavericks, remember they decided on that Friday, yeah, you know what, where we stand, it's actually better we don't make the playoffs, so we're going to rest our guys. And Adam Silver was embarrassed, so he fined them. And Adam Silver, I thought of the All-Star weekend, the biggest thing I took away was how sad he looked in giving the East the trophy. You scored the most points. Well, congratulations. Adam Silver, I think, one of the things that I really have never understood about the way that we talk as a society is how we say, oh, a woman can't be this. They're too emotional. Remember that? You probably remember it. Someone probably said that today somewhere in your life.
I say it like 3 or 4 times a day at least.
Yeah. Whenever my wife's mad, I say, see, this is why you can't be president. Yet I'm the emotional freak. I'm the one ranting and raving. Last night, my son was upsetting me, and I had to walk away from bath time.
Toaster Winkler.
Yeah, Toaster Winkler. Was too upset. I almost got in an accident the other day because I was yelling at one driver that pissed me off, and I almost swerved into another. I'm emotional. Adam Silver is the most emotional human I've ever seen. And if he has an idea that you don't like, oh, he really takes it personal. He sent, who did he send? Dr. J and Larry Bird to the locker rooms to say, guys, can you try in the All-Star game? And then they didn't. And now he's very, very sad. I think that this commissioner, like Rob Manfred sucks. He's very stoic. Adam Manfred sucks because he's too, like, seat of the handle. Roger Goodell may be, guys, he may be our best commissioner. It's a low bar to cross, but he sails right over it. Kovac, Samter, thank you both for the enjoyment today. David Shepard will be in for me in the next 4 hours. You got Ryan Hickey next. Zach Gelb back after his weekend of debauchery. I'm Bart Winkler, CBS Sports Radio. Have a good weekend. Good night.